Hey Tash, welcome to The Difference.
Hi.
It's great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
You want to tell us a little bit about who you are?
Sure. So my name is Tash. I grew up in Hastings, Hawke's Bay. I moved to South Taranaki, lived there for 10 years or so, had some babies and decided it was time to come home to Napier. So in the midst of it all, actually packed up and went straight into rehab. Springhill for substance addiction, and stayed there for 10 weeks, I think it was. Now I'm kind of coming out on the other side and living a new life.
It's fantastic. And it's good being back in Napier?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I never thought I'd move back.
There's something about it, going home.
Yeah.
It's terrifying, but also at some point in your life it just feels right. Yeah. No, that's cool. So you mentioned Springhill before. What is Springhill?
So Springhill is a treatment centre, a rehabilitation based in Napier. It's kind of in a residential area. It's just like a big house with accommodation block. It's trauma-based therapy.
And what's your role there?
So I'm a peer support specialist.
The only one,
The
I
only
imagine.
one.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's a brand new role. So I'm still kind of finding my feet, but I'm loving it.
It's awesome that they've decided to start using peer support in their program.
Yes. It took a while to get the role happening, but through the amazing management there, our team leader got it up and going. So,
Yeah, I understand you feel really well supported.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we've got a great team there.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I wonder how long it'll be before you're managing a whole team of peer support.
Oh, I don't know about that. maybe.
I can see it happening. No, that's awesome. So what does a peer support specialist do?
So I guess my whole reason for my job is looking at those tension points of post-treatment, so before people come into treatment, and then after they graduate or exit or, choose to leave. Those were the areas that weren't really supporting our whai ora. So I have an amazing job. I get to take people out for coffee and answer all the questions that they might have. And I think the point of difference there is because I've been through it, they get real answers from me. And when I say I understand how you're feeling, I really mean it. So that's kind of my main role.
Yeah, cool. I don't know if it's about peer support, but I always think of that saying that it's, like about 100 cups of tea.
Yes.
But it's usually coffee.
Definitely coffee.
Peer support and coffee kind of goes together, right?
Yes.
Yeah. No, that just sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, cool. And you were talking before about tension points. What are those?
So tension points, I suppose, are areas where there isn't much support or I guess the therapy team are so busy. They've got an amazing job that they do with our whai ora who come in and stay for 8 to 10 weeks. That was just like the missing points along our whai ora's journey. So going into rehab is massive, but there's also before and after. Where's the support for them then? Yeah.
So it's kind of like the transition back into the community.
Absolutely.
Which is where we know that, for people who are accessing any kind of service, that's, one of the places where people can get, fall out of the system.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's one of the things that they monitor as well is like, because the highest rate of, readmission is in those, first 10 days after somebody has had a spell in the acute unit or something.
Yep. Yeah, just staying connected with them, knowing that they're still thought of as well, even after they leave. And they've just done some really hard yards, unpacking some stuff. So, just knowing that they're still thought of.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So you maintain a connection with them after they've left?
Yeah.
For how long?
So for our locals, as much as possible, as long as possible. We've got a couple of whaiora who are coming up a year, and out of towners, it's usually about 2 to 3 months, sometimes longer, if I can kind of swindle that.
Which is a really great segue, actually, into talking about boundaries.
Yes,
and keeping yourself well. So, and this is something that, we've covered a little bit in our episode that we did on vicarious trauma and worker wellbeing. But, I think even harder for peer support to maintain that boundary sometimes because you are there as a peer.
Yes.
But when you care about your tangata whaiora that you work with, it's really hard. It's really hard to say, no, I'm off the clock.
Yes.
Because as we know, crisis doesn't always happen between 9 and 5 and on weekdays. Yep. So what are some of the things that you've been employing to kind of keep yourself well and keep those boundaries?
Yeah, I guess so reflective practice. I didn't have that in the beginning. At the same time, I also had some friends come through the program. Because I'm in the same kind of recovery community, the same community that I work in, there's overlapping, and that I really struggled with that. And I just hard. Was going home thinking about these beautiful people who are struggling. So I had to dig deep with my reflective practitioner, who is amazing, who's been through a lot of similar experiences. I unpack a lot of stuff with her, and she helps me figure out my own boundaries or how to express my boundaries, how to practice my boundaries.
Could you explain a little bit more about what reflective practice is? Because not everybody's going to know what that term is. And just, I'm not expecting you to be an expert on reflective practice here, but just what does it mean to you?
Yeah. So I guess I look at my reflective practitioner as a bit of a mentor. And during the week or the month, I write down some things that I might be struggling with. It could be... it could be some of my study that I'm doing, peer support study, anything that has been troubling me during the month. So I write all of that down, and then we have a Zoom meeting once a month, and we just kind of talk through the problems or what's on my mind, what I've been struggling with at work. And she gives a bit of feedback and asks some questions, and then usually she'll kind of sum up our Zoom session and send it back to me so I can go back and have a look through. So I guess it's just reflecting on how I work and how I can improve, because I always want to improve. Yeah. Can always be better.
Absolutely. Do better, Tash.
Yeah. Do better.
Do better. Yeah. But some people, I think, because, not everybody gets access to an external reflective practitioner. For some people it's, talking to their upline manager or in a peer, like a group peer support kind of situation, group supervision or the like. And it's not, they all have their pros and cons, but there's something about being able to have a safe space to share that I think is really important. Not to say that you can't get great, as you do, support from your upline, but some people, I think, feel like supervision is not always a safe space to be able to speak up about what's going on for them. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess I've never experienced it personally. I feel sad. I feel sad for those people who feel unsafe to talk about what's going on for them. And I would keep looking. There's heaps of people out there, surely, that are doing it.
Yeah. I think it's just, changing the conversation, I guess, so that it's not, I've got to go to supervision and, show what I'm not dealing with well. That's going to show me as weak or not dealing with my job well. And I don't really want to expose myself like that. And changing that conversation to, this is an opportunity for you to grow as a support worker, and to be able to talk out what happened, what could I have done differently, how could I do it in another way in the future. And it's not a weakness to show those things. It's actually a strength.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I guess it's just, wanting to shift the conversation a little bit so that people see it as an opportunity.
Yeah. Everything we do is for our whai ora. So maybe just stepping out of the comfort zone a little bit. Growing and learning.
Yeah.
Life's all about that.
Yeah. And if you're looking after yourself in your practice, then you are looking after the tangata whai ora that you support, right?
Definitely. Yeah.
If you don't look after yourself, how does it go? How are you going to love anybody else? That's what it is. RuPaul. If you don't love yourself. Sorry. You don't necessarily click with everybody.
That's right.
Yeah. And so, if at first you don't click with the reflective practice practitioner, try again.
Yeah.
Try again.
Absolutely.
Until you got somebody who, you feel comfortable with.
And ideally somebody who's worked alongside peer support, or even better, who has done peer support or support work.
Yeah.
I feel like that brings a whole nother level to reflective practice.
Yeah, because a lot of clinicians and other health professionals, they access this to maintain their, practice certificate. And so it's, an important part of their registration and their continued practice. Support workers and peer support workers, it's not mandated that they receive reflective practice. But, arguably, I would say it's even more important for the support workforce to be able to talk out what they go through and what they deal with, because they are on the front lines every day.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. So how was it for you before you started accessing reflective practice? Like, was there something that was happening for you that kind of made you think, oh, hold up, I think I need some assistance or support here?
Yeah. I'd heard through the grapevine that it can be an isolating job. And in the beginning, I have such an amazing team that we work with. I didn't feel it initially, but then a few months down the track, I really started feeling a bit isolated. Being the only person who does my job there, I found it hard to connect or to relate, or for other people to relate to me.
You're talking about your colleagues.
Yeah. So just isolated in my role. And it felt easy for other people to say, you just need to put up a boundary, you just need to put up a wall when you're supporting somebody that you already know. But I just couldn't shake that feeling, because I'd been in that place. When I see my friends struggling, it really hurt. It hurt my heart so much. That's kind of when I knew that I needed more support. and my team lead always said that supervision is really important. And then when I brought it up with you, there's no going back.
You wouldn't continue without access to someone who understands the role that you do and is able to talk to you in that space?
Yeah.
What do you think it gives you?
Awareness, just another perspective of looking at things, and also having somebody understand how hard it can be, and to give some real life examples as well, having that relatability and mutuality. Yeah, that's awesome. Hopefully we can, grow the reflective practice, a list of available practitioners. Yes.
So that it's not so hard for people to find somebody to connect with, hey?
Yes, yeah. And I just advise anyone to get onto it straight away. Because, it's about sharing successes as well. Yeah, so you want to be able to start that process as soon as possible.
Yeah, cool. I think it's they're really good at what they do, and in terms of encouraging you to start noticing your own triggers or your own when things are falling off the rails for you.
Yes.
Just the act of speaking it out loud. They don't even need to say anything. You just say it and you're like, oh, whoa, hold on. That's not good.
Yep.
Yeah. And so were there things like that were kind of happening for you that were little warning signs?
I guess I was really taking my work home with me. And my kids get the brunt of it, if I'm being honest. I go home and I can't stop thinking about it. So that was a huge warning sign when I just want to go home and go to bed. That's when my babies miss out. So.
Yeah. What do you like about your role?
I love celebrating with other people. Yeah. I guess I feel really honoured to share their journey as well. Seeing them in the first few days can be heartbreaking, and then by the end of it, sitting in their graduation and seeing the look on their faces, so proud of themselves. That's definitely a sparkling moment for me.
Yeah.
Being able to join people's graduations.
Yeah.
And then the catch-ups we have afterwards.
Yeah.
Hearing all about what they've been up to since they got home, reconnecting with family. I also really love that I'm trusted now. And people come to me
Is that not something that you've always had?
No.
So you're a peer support worker. Do you also work alongside community support workers?
Wow, that's kind of a new thing that's happening in Hawke's Bay.
Okay.
There's a couple of NGOs that have gotten together. So a few people from Problem Gambling.
Yep.
I've connected with some peer support there.
Yep.
So Springhill is under Te Whatu Ora. We have a few peer support workers in different areas, different services. We've just started getting together with other services outside of Te Whatu Ora.
Yep.
And we've been getting together and sharing about our services, connecting, sharing resources. So it's quite a new thing. It was happening, I think it happened every couple of weeks towards the end of last year. We haven't had another one yet, but that's definitely going to be an ongoing thing.
That's really neat, hey, because so often support workers only interact with the other support workers from their organisation. So it's almost like you guys are creating a bit of a network of organisations that provide peer support in your community. And why do you think that's valuable?
It's really great to be able to refer people to different places, having that knowledge of services. Everybody's journey is so unique and different. We all need different things at different points in our lives. So, just knowing what's out there and being able to connect people, having those community connections. Yeah.
That's cool. And I think it would be really important as well for that transitioning back to the community space. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, cool. You're much more likely to refer somebody to something or someone that you trust.
Yes.
Aren't you?
Yeah, getting to know the fire order and then linking them up with a person at that service. It's great.
Yeah, I mean, same like, finding a reflective practice practitioner that's a mouthful, but reflective practice practitioner that you link with or connect with.
Yes.
It's the same, right? Tangata whai ora, not going to click with every peer support or support worker who's out there.
Yeah.
So, the more you know, the better equipped you are to refer.
For sure.
That's cool. So how have you used what you've learnt in reflective practice in your mahi?
I guess, so my reflective practitioner goes by the SIPSIL framework. So she's always sending me little links about, the values and how to apply the values. I think self-determination was a big one for me when I came to her and I was like, I know this person would be better off doing it like this, but I can't say that because their journey is, determined by themselves.
Yeah.
They're in control of their journey and their recovery is their recovery. So putting that into practice is a big one for me, not dictating or not telling other people how they should be living in recovery.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If you think back to when before you had access to reflective practice, do you think that without accessing it, you might not have lasted this long in your role? Not wanting to put words in your mouth, but...
Probably not. Either that or I would have suffered from many a burnout. Without talking through some things, the workload would have got far too heavy for me. It's one of the things about being an empath, I think. We carry other people's hurt. And also sharing successes as well. I get to go into it bubbling and she reflects that as well. Yeah.
She's really happy for you.
It's so encouraging. Yeah,
I love that because, support workers go. Yeah, and you're on your feet all the time and the need is so great that I think we don't have enough time to celebrate those wins. And the wins might not be something that you can, count, but they're things you feel. And so having that feedback or that, someone else cheering you on in your corner and going, I see that, that's a success. That's awesome. Could be just enough to keep you going, hey?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. Sometimes I think people in the lived experience workforce have a bit of an advantage on this, but because we're so good at, bringing our whole self into the workplace, how do you incorporate your personal life and your lived experience into your role in a way that keeps you safe?
I guess I start off with coming in and jumping on the couch, throwing my handbag on the floor, saying good morning to everyone.
Let's just be clear, this is at work.
This is at work, yes.
I love that.
Yeah, they'll be waiting in the lounge for their group to start. So I'm like, oh, yay. So go jump down and see how everyone's, weekend was and that sets me up for just being myself. And then, it takes time to build connections. So that's always a starting point for me to start my day. And then I guess when we start talking a little bit more in depth, it just comes out naturally. How do I do it healthily? I check in with my gut, actually. So as I'm speaking, I always can relate to the other person, and I can feed back from my experiences. But if I get a twinge or something, or I hesitate or something, I just kind of have to check in with myself and ask, is that too much? Is it helpful for me to share this? Because the last thing I want to do is trigger somebody else or to take the conversation away from them. So I want to be able to share things that let them know that they're not alone, but also not so much about myself. Yeah, so you're not just, going in and telling your gory story every single day of your work life. Yeah, just a bit of drug-a-logging in the morning.
I imagine that would get really hard.
Yes.
After just a couple of days.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a real art, I think, to learning how to, and that's why the importance of training, hey?
Yeah.
And there's a few different types of peer support training that are out there. What ones have you accessed?
So I started with David Burnside's Peer Support 101.
Awesome.
Which just made me fall in love with the idea of being a peer support worker. And that was well before Springhill's role was established. And then my manager just got pumped up. David also does a workshop. Yeah. he does a workshop for managers as well, which my team leader went to and just came out of there so inspired. So there, and then currently I'm doing a peer support level 4 through Career Force.
How are you finding that?
It's so hard.
Is it?
It's so hard. I thought correspondence was going to be easier because I could do it in my own time. And then I forgot I don't get much in my own time. So I think next time I go into a bit more study, I would like to do maybe part-time on campus. But it's really got me fired up to learn more.
Oh, that's cool.
For sure. Yeah,
you've got to find the right mode for you. And Dave does such great work, hey?
Yes, he's great.
Absolutely. So peer support is getting a lot of backing politically at the moment, and they're talking about bringing it into whole lots of other spaces that where it has traditionally just been the medical professionals, and that's awesome. I mean, I'm really biased, but I think, we want to keep that trajectory going. But have you seen anything or noticed anything or as a peer support worker yourself, what do you think that the sector needs to keep in mind as we go down this path?
I definitely think training before people are on the floor. So just how to use our lived experience safely, and mentorship, whatever that may look like, to be supported in our roles. And I think communities of practice. Really been wanting to start one, but it just hasn't quite happened yet. Connection. We say that so much in recovery. Connection is key. So, just because we're peer support workers doesn't mean that connection doesn't really matter anymore. Connection with
your community of practice.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wherever they're based.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Tash, for coming in and talking to us today.
Cool. Thank you for having me. It's been a great day.
Awesome. Well, that's a wrap. I'm Alexia Black. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Difference, a podcast for support workers in mental health and addiction in Aotearoa, New Zealand. Be sure to listen to the other episodes in the series and check out the resources and links for more information. Just want to take a wee moment to let our listeners know about the brand new section that we've created on the Te Pou website. It's dedicated just to mental health and addiction support workers. We've been busy the last few months pulling together a whole bunch of learning opportunities and resources and putting them all in one place, making them super easy for support workers to find. So whether you're wanting to access some professional development or just learn from the experiences of other support workers, make sure you go and check out the new space on the Te Pou website. I hope you find it helpful. Mā te wā. See you next time.